You know, obviously, Louisiana-Monroe coming off a great win, great signature win for those guys is a great challenge for us. But just watching them on film, starting with their offense is, you know, the quarterback is an extremely talented young man and is very productive in what he does, and that's obvious. You know, when you have 550 yards of offense against a very good SEC opponent, I think that pretty much speaks for itself. Defensively, got our work cut out for us. Very challenging schematically with what they do on defense. And so we're looking forward to getting back out on the field and practicing again today and moving forward and improving. And our players feel that way, our coaches feel that way, so we're ready to get started again. And our kids had a great practice Sunday, and we're very motivated, and they'll continue to be that way today. So we're looking forward to, you know, this next opportunity that we have.
Coach, were you surprised in any film that you've seen that how much they were able to affect Tyler Wilson, and defensively, how you got our offensive line, how much are they going to have to be on?
Well, you know, as I said earlier, schematically, it's very challenging. And I mean, Arkansas is a very well-coached team, and always has been, and you know, very talented as well. And they were able to get to Tyler several times, as we know. Early in the game, he threw an early interception. It's a challenge. There's no doubt. Schematically, it's not something that you see every day. If you want to just give it some relevancy, I would say that their defense is kind of like dealing with a you know, an option offense, you know, that you don't see every day. Veer option offense, but just on the defensive side of the ball, very schematically complicated. That's, I think, part of the problem that Arkansas, you know, faced last Saturday night. So it's going to take a lot of work, and they're all over the place. They do a great job scheming. I think the last 2 or 3 years they've been tops in their league in rush defense, so it's hard to run the football. And then they get after you on the pass, you know, in really dialing in on your pass protection and getting to your quarterback. So we've got our work cut out for us in terms of that, but again, I think that's, you know, that's what we're talking about. This is going to be a great challenge. This was not a fluke. I mean, this is a good football team, and you know, they were down at one point in the game, 21 points, and came storming back and able to, you know, able to take it to overtime. And 2 other times they left the ball in the red zone, once right before the half where they didn't score. And so they had their opportunities even before it got to overtime, is the reality of the game. So again, it's going to be a very, very good challenge for us. And I think our guys are going to be ready for it. We'll be up for it and ready to go.
Is the rotation in your secondary settled at all? Because you had a couple starters who didn't play. Started one game and then didn't play in the second game.
Well, we'll start at the beginning of the week, and we're going to look at how practice goes. And again, the competition will continue to be there. But right now, we're not anticipating there being, you know, any changes. By the end of the week, that may or may not change. We're really looking at practice reps and how well they're practicing, how well they're catching on to the game plan. And, you know, again, when I say that there's going to be competition, you know, all over, there is going to be competition as we move throughout the season as well.
When you're going up against the pass attack, is kind of eliminating the fluidity in the personnel important to try and make the guys more familiar with what's coming at them?
Sure. I mean, that's the case at every position all the time. There's no question about it. And, you know, we're always going to try to keep some continuity in there. But again, guys got to make sure that, you know, they're on top of their game when it comes to doing their job within the structure of the offense or the defense. And so we've got several guys that are, you know, rotating in there. You know, you're not just going to see, you know, guys that just hadn't played at all of a sudden be in there. You know, these are guys that have been rotating and getting reps. And so continuity is certainly something that you want. But again, if a guy is being productive more so than the person in front of him, that's who you're going to see.
Sunday, Kyle said he made mistakes on 75% of the plays out there. Do you think that's just a case of him being too hard on himself, or how close is that to being accurate?
I wouldn't say that that's accurate. I would say that that's a young guy putting a lot of pressure on himself and wanting to, shoulder a lot of the blame because he feels like he can play better. I can assure you there's a lot of guys out there that made a lot of mistakes, and it wasn't just Kyle Frazier. As I've said to our team, and I'll say to anybody, it's a team game. And, obviously, Kyle is one of many that want and need to play better, but we need to coach better. And everybody, it's a team game. So it's not about one guy, but 75% of what he did, that's not necessarily accurate. That's a young man really trying to shoulder the blame. And as I've said right now, it never goes down to one guy.
When people looked at this schedule at the beginning of the year, they probably looked at it as, well, that's an easy win. Sunday, Jeffrey Whitaker said, this is a must-win game. How would you characterize this game in terms of sense of urgency?
Oh, I think there's definitely a sense of urgency, but every game is a must-win game for us. And certainly, us being 0-2 right now, the level of urgency, as I've said for the week, is definitely high, but it's high all the time. But they understand right now that this is not a game that we're going to walk in and it's going to be a blowout of any sort. We know that we got our hands full, and that's good for our team. We need to be challenged. We need to continually be challenged, and we look forward to that. But every win's a must-win.
Christian Westman got a lot of chance to kind of jump in there, the offensive line later in that one. Do you see any changes as far as the offensive line goes in the week, or is that kind of that competition thing too?
Well, I think that Christian's worked extremely hard to get an opportunity to play, and we felt like he's made a lot of progress and he's getting closer. And again, when you start talking about offensive line play and developing offensive linemen, you always want your first 5, and then you want your next guy, the 6th guy, then your 7th guy, then your 8th guy. You'd always like to be able to say that you've got 10 guys, that you could throw in there. That's not always necessarily the case, but we're certainly working in that direction, and this would be an example of that.
Any questions?
Gene, have you heard anything from the NCAA regarding the Javon Robinson case?
I'm worried about one thing this week. I'm focused on Auburn football and winning a game, so I'm not getting into any of that. I've got one thing on my mind.
You anticipate being that a major issue?
Like I said, I've got one thing on my mind, and it's winning a football game this week, and I'm not getting into any of that.